Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is part of our Emotional Wellness Through Yoga educational series. And it's been a really fun journey. Today's topic is talking about moving out of the shadows, and we're working with a yoga and neuroscience approach to emotional patterns. What I love about the series in particular is that it's body-based. Instead of having to really talk about issues that we're feeling, or sometimes we don't even know words for what we're feeling. But when we move through a yoga practice, if you've ever had that time where you've done a yoga practice and you've finished the practice and you just feel amazing afterward, but you don't know why, that's what we're breaking down back here so that you have an understanding of what might be happening for you in a yoga practice and why you might be feeling so wonderful afterward. And you can start to put things together to maybe share this information with others, right? So today's workshop explores the connection between shadow behaviors, chakra imbalances, and neurological development. It provides yoga teachers, practitioners, and mental health professionals with tools to integrate these insights into their practice by combining yoga, mindfulness, neuroscience, and neuroscience. So participants will learn how to bring unconscious emotional patterns into awareness and cultivate resilience. So when I talk about shadows behaviors, they are suppressed emotions or traits and traits that are deemed unacceptable in childhood. For whatever reason, when you express something or at an early age, it was shut down. So when we talk about who we essentially are and just and that inner self, that might be something about you that is true and true for you, and you were never able to express it. And it may have been healthy. It wasn't a bad thing at the time. It could have been cultural norms or just whatever it was. But anytime that you have something about your true self that you shove down and you put away, it can start to boil under the surface and show up a bit later. So these might be repressed aspects of the self that manifest, though, as triggers. It could show up as self-sabotage, and it could lead to emotional struggles. Shadow behaviors are negative. They're negative automatic responses to people, situations, and events. And they can be harmful and destructive to our relationships that we're having now. Some of the examples of what shadow behaviors might look like is when we act defensively. Somebody might say something, but we take it in a whole other light, and we come back at them in a way that's maybe not appropriate, or we've taken it wrong, right? Where we might be manipulative toward others. We might be aggressive toward others. We could have a quick temper. We could judge others. That's a big one. It's like when we're judging others, we'll talk about this, about that might be an aspect of something about ourselves that it triggers something deep within us, right? When we blame others for our problems, or we are compulsively hiding feelings. But anyway, this can show up as self-destructive behaviors. It can show up as addictive behaviors, anything that's like harmful for us. In the end, that we're doing something harmful to ourselves. We can start to backtrack and look at it, but maybe it's something to think about. What it does is, if we don't address things that are maybe in the shadows for us, it can block our personal performance and productivity. So if you feel blocked, it could damage our relationships, just unable to have steady relationships. It really does erode the communication, because at some point, it's like, say what you mean and mean what you say. When there's some break in the authenticity of that if there's something that starts to feel not trustworthy. And so maybe we don't know that we might be kind of giving up off the vibe of not being trustworthy. And it may come back to something like this, that we're struggling with something internally and it might represent outside. This is such an interesting topic, but let's just talk about how the brain stores and reacts to shadow behaviors. So stress and trauma impact neurological development, right? Wherever you are, whatever period of time you're in, the stress can impact that. It can alter the functions of your key brain regions. So one of the things that we've talked about in the past and introduced is called the amygdala. And that's a part of our brain that's responsible for processing fear and emotional responses. And when we have underlying issues going on for us, it can become hyperactive under stress. So our stress response is ready to go. It's just waiting. It's just like the slightest little boop, and your stress response is on, and then bam, you get that chemical reactions happening. But what it does is, like we talked about, pattern, neuroplasticity is like if we do something over and over again, then it reinforces us to be working under fear-based condition. We get conditioned for that. We get ready for that. And anything that kind of comes near that, our brains are on and we recognize it and we grab onto something and then we go right back into that fear or stress state. The prefrontal cortex of our brain is essential for rational thinking and problem solving, and it experiences reduced activity. So think about that. Your rational thinking and your problem solving capabilities are diminished when we're under stress. So you get to pick one or the other. Like, so what state is functioning right now? And then if you understand that maybe your fear response, your stress response is active at the time, then you can realize that maybe you're not ready to respond to that stressor in the moment. And that's when we talk about taking pauses, that have a pause and just think about it and go, oh man, that what part of me is responding to this? And pauses are a wonderful way to start to repattern ourselves, to start to think about this and think about what that really means. What did they really say? And was that really against me? It'll give you, some time. So the other one is the hippocampus, which manages memory and contextual awareness. That ends up, so that has your memory and how you take things. How you assimilate all the information that's given to you, right? And that center of your brain decreases or shrinks under prolonged stress. So it affects our ability to learn from our past experiences also. The neurochemical responses that we have to stress, what happens is when that brain center goes off, when it gets the message, then you have a dumping of chemicals in the body, right? So you have the cortisol, that's your chronic stress and that hormone, and that increases, which impairs your memory and suppresses immune function too. So you're susceptible to getting sick more often when you're under chronic stress, right? But for our pleasure, the dopamine and serotonin, that also, that gives us reduced levels when we're under stress. So it reduces those levels under stress, and it can contribute to mood disorders, and it can also make shadow behaviors more pronounced, right? So oxytocin decreases under stress. So and it leads to difficulties in forming secure relationships. So we'll talk about this. When we go into stress, one of the responses would be the fight, flight, or some of the responses are the fight, flight, freeze, fawn responses. So that's when the sympathetic nervous system activates during stress, it increases the heart rate and it prepares the body for action. And we've talked about that, how it shuts down blood supplies to some areas, it pumps up blood supplies to other areas. These are meant to be a temporary, use it quickly and then be done, and then not live in that state. But what we're seeing more of is that people are living more under chronic stress, and they're using all these chemicals on the daily in times that we might not need it, like it's not an emergency. And so we deplete our stores so that when something does come our way that we need to respond to, we are unable to get all the help that we need because we've depleted our reserves of that. So the parasympathetic nervous system, it struggles to restore balance when stress is chronic, and it leads to difficulty in emotional regulation, right? So the vagus nerve plays a critical role in shifting us between the stress response and relaxation, and it's influenced by breath work and mindfulness. So this is where our yoga comes in, is that when we work with breath work, and we've all said it every one of these workshops, is that our breath is the fastest way to change the chemical level in our bodies, right? So we have that at our disposal when we're doing a yoga practice and when we learn these breathing techniques. The brain shifts into low power mode under stress, and it limits problem solving ability and increased resilience on automatic conditioned responses. So what the saying is that you go back into default. If you've been working on having new responses to things that are coming your way, that when it gets really stressful for you, you'll default back to the way that your brain knows, what you've been doing all that time. So this takes a conscious effort on your part to make this the new norm for you. And that's not easy work. And that's, by having weekly meetings, these are reminders, and then you go back out and you do these things. But after some time, you might find that your old behavior patterns are starting to get new responses, and you're dealing with stress a little bit better. And that might be as simple as taking a deep breath in and exhaling it out, right? Common shadow behaviors and their mental health correlations. So when we are working with the shadow behaviors, back to that, we could be a people pleaser. I know I find myself, I've been that person, being a people pleaser, and that is linked to hyperactive amygdala, and it decreases the oxytocin, and it manifests as difficulty setting boundaries, and where we seek external validation. And that's another thing that we're working with the yoga practices, is that we are trying to stay away from getting external validation, but we're prompting you through your practice, how does this feel for you? It's not how does it feel for me, but how does this feel for you inside of you? And that's the opinion that matters. It's where we're looking in our yoga practices to find space inside of us, to find when we find the space and a place to breathe and openness inside of us, then that starts to lead us into well-being. I always say, if you get one thing in order, then several things will fall in line with that. But we could also fall into the category of perfectionism or overachieving. And I think I've been all of these things, driven by excessive dopamine seeking behavior, and this manifests as chronic stress, fear, or failure. So we have to, my goal is to when we make decisions, that we make informed decisions about why we're doing things, not because it was, how we were raised to be, not how, my significant other wants me to be, but how we can start to be more who we truly are. And that's where real freedom lies. I always tell my daughters, if somebody will love you for exactly as you are, that when you try to pretend like you're something that you're not, that shows up as that crossroads where the truth and where you say what you mean what you say, that starts to show as inauthentic in you, right? So perfectionism and overachieving, you don't have to do all of these things for people to love you. You're lovable exactly as you are now. And that's big to get. So this also when we live in our shadow behaviors, it can lead to emotional numbing and avoidance of things. So it's linked to reduced serotonin, and the hippocampus actually shrinks, and it manifests as addictions and disassociations. I remember when I first started doing yoga, it was like, push your foot into the floor, and I literally I couldn't connect my body to my foot on the floor. I thought I was, but I've learned through the years of practice that, put my foot on touch the floor. Okay. But it's taken like just showing up to the mat and just kind of working with those concepts. And sometimes that these can be behaviors that we have, or things that we have inside of us that we're not even aware of. And it's not anything bad. It's just we're starting to bring awareness and trying to find true peace and happiness within ourselves, right? The shadow behaviors can also lead to projection. It's influenced by cognitive biases and limbic system activation, and it manifests when we criticize others for traits we deny in ourselves. So when we talk about meditating and going deeper into it and self-study of yoga practices, that's what we're talking about, because they always said, oh, you'll see sides of yourself that you don't like. And I was thinking, I don't know, but that's what it's talking about. It's like, where have I been suppressing something? I was raised in a very in a Hispanic family that had very traditional Catholic upbringing. And so there were certain rules and things that, girls just didn't do, and then how we lived by. But I realized that kept me from having a voice, speaking, saying what I need. And so this, through my journey, I'm hoping that maybe it'll shed some light for your journey. Each of our journeys are very different, but they're the same. We're together in this. So it also, shadow behaviors can show up as self-sabotage, and it can lead to procrastination. And it's related to impaired prefrontal cortex, your thinking brain center, and it manifests as fear of success, failure, and unworthiness. I have to tell myself on the daily, I am worthy of this. It's okay to have, success, or, it's okay to be whatever it is that I want to be. And I don't need anybody else's permission for that. So it's just something to think about. Hyper independence. And I've totally been on this other side of it. I can do it. I don't need your help. I got this. Where you don't ask for help, and definitely control issues. It's tied to attachment disruptions and low oxytocin, and it manifests as a fear of abandonment. And I have difficulty trusting others. I just do, for good reason a lot of times. But at the same time, it doesn't have to make me, be that. It has to be my way of living, right? So it's a balance. It's like, how do you work and how do you foster relationships without giving too much of yourself, where you still feel safe, but yet moving into places where trust starts to become a thing. There's and then that's shadow behaviors. I have unhealthy relationship patterns. So result of early relational trauma and limbic system dysregulation manifest as codependency and fear of intimacy, right? So those are just things to think about in the neuroscience world. Now, let's look a little bit at the yoga world, where we talk about chakras, our energetic centers. And this is why we talk about, alignment and poses. And you put your foot here, you put your arm here, wrist stacking over, whatever, we give you those certain cues, because what we're looking for is that you find some inner alignment within the body, which opens up energy. And when I talk about opening up energy, I'm talking about big energy that's from the base of the spine through the crown of the head, and that's known as the chakras. So when we talk about this energetic centers, we can do entire workshops on each one of these concepts, and we will as the series continues to go on. But the first one, just a basic introduction, is our root chakra, and that's the Muladhara. And it's where we have fear-based conditioning, and it manifests as insecurity, control issues. So there's a lot more to say about this, but just as for today, just as the introduction, the root chakra, it's at the very base of the spine. When we do our standing poses, that works on helping us get grounded and working with the root energy. The second chakra, moving our way up from the base of the spine, we have the sacral chakra, that's Svadhisthana, and that's where we have emotional suppression, and it manifests as guilt, and it can block your creativity. So that book, Anodea Judith, there's Eastern, Eastern Body, Western Mind is a good one. Wheels of Life, that really breaks down the chakras. But again, we'll address these as we go along. Then we move up to the third one, a little bit above the navel, where we have the solar plexus chakra, and that's where our ego, self-esteem, where we can feel low self-worth, and it manifests actually as perfectionism, power struggles, worthiness, being able to accept, praise and compliments. And then we move up from there, our power center. And that works a lot with the gut. Let me go back. So the solar plexus and the ego, self-esteem, and all of that. Also, we have talked about this in our past workshops, and we'll continue to talk about the gut being your second brain, that the gut is what's picking up on so many things, and that's sending the messages up to the brain, and it's happening through our gut. So we have to have good gut health too. So twisting poses work with this. Then we move up into our heart center, and basically the heart is the bridge between our spiritual side of us and our being here in the world side of us. And in the heart chakra, it's called the Anahata chakra, and it's emotional wounds, and it manifests as the inability to receive love. And I know I don't want to spend the rest of my life having an inability to receive love, so, but it's taken me 58 years to realize that I don't want to block that area. I want to be open to receive the love, and pure love. Right? So then it goes from the heart into the throat, and the throat chakra is where the Vishuddha, and that's suppressed self-expression, and it manifests as fear of speaking up. So, that's, finding your voice, saying what you need, saying what you mean, and really meaning what you say. It all shows up here. The third eye, then we go to the ajna, and that's where mental conditioning, and it manifests as a lack of clarity and denial. So, this is our intuition center, where we already know the answers. That's the true tap in to knowing the true self. But we want to open up that so we know in what we're feeling and what we need, and tapping into that, right? But if we have a lack of clarity, and that's interesting also, it's also in the frontal cortex of the brain, which is our rational thinking. And all of that goes, our ability to tap into our inner knowledge and our rational thinking goes out the door when our our stress levels go up. So if we think about it, maybe the conditions that we've been, subjecting ourselves to, living under this chronic stress, allowing the stress to take over our lives, maybe we can start to see now it's a worthy cause to start to work on these things. And you don't even have to know about these things, because like I said, it's a byproduct of sometimes the yoga practice in itself. So you don't have to think about it, but just being present in your yoga practice will be your work for this. And then when we come from the third eye, where we can get clarity, We have the crown chakra, and this is our spiritual connecting with the divinity, connecting to something greater than ourselves. And when we disconnect from ourselves, this manifests as a lack of purpose, not having a purpose, not having any faith. I mean, sometimes that's all that we have to hold on to is the faith that you know, it's going to be all right. So that's an important part for me to have. So neuroscience of emotional regulation and shadow integration, neural pathways and emotional conditioning. So the brain reinforces patterns based on past experiences. We've talked about this. Shadow behaviors are automatic responses embedded in the neural circuitry of our being. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself through mindfulness, movement, and reflection. The good news is, you know, back in the day, I mean, they thought that once our brain was formed, that's it. That's what you have. But as science, it's coming about, and your brain can be changed. Your wiring in your brain can be moved. It can. There's something that you can do no matter where you're starting in life, and that's a beautiful thing. Yoga and the nervous system. So working with our yoga practice, yoga activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and it shifts us from stress response to relaxation. And again, beautiful thing is you don't have to think about that. You don't have to worry about any of those concepts. You get on the yoga mat, inhale, raise your arms up, stretch, and breathe. But on the back end of this, what's happening behind the scenes is that it's working with your parasympathetic nervous system. In just a second, a reprieve of that chronic stress that we're under, you know, can be a lifeline for us. Breath work, pranayama, it regulates our vagus nerve activity and promotes emotional balance. When I'm working with the pranayama in these initial, we're just now heading into March, I'm staying with a lot of the same type of breathing techniques, not because I don't know any other ones, but it's because I want it to become so ingrained in you that it's an easy go-to when you might need it, right? So that's the same with yoga poses too. I mean, fancy yoga poses, they're great. But right now, it might be just standing in mountain pose and feeling your feet and finding inner space within yourself. And that is enough, right? Yeah. So asana practice engages the body, mind connection, and it releases stored emotional tension. So one thing I really want you to take with you is that when you do yoga, you have the body, the mind, and the breath. If you miss one of those components, you're not doing a yoga practice. So just being in the moment with the mind being the body and the breath and putting all of those three things together in the little amount of time that you have carved out for your yoga practice can again be another lifeline for us. So integrative practices to transform shadow behaviors. So I'm going to go jump into it for yoga teachers. This is just a little tidbit for you guys or whoever wants to use this. So the yoga sequences and asanas for emotional awareness, when we do grounding postures, we do that for the root chakra. And some examples of those are your mountain pose, warrior poses, and even child's pose can be a grounding pose. Our hip openers for releasing stored emotions, that is, you know, pigeon pose, butterfly pose, and we're going to do some other hip openers today in our practice. And then when we have heart openers, and you don't have to do a entire full back bend, we're going to do some heart opening practices that even people with injuries might be able to access something. But you know, just remembering that the upper part of our back, of our spine, that's the part that we want to be more mobile. It's our low backs are hyper, you know, that's where the dumping is happening. But when we talk about heart openers, we're talking about that harder part, our thoracic spine, that's most inflexible in our body, and working to get that open so that our front body and chest and all the energetic centers can get some energy into that. But examples of heart openers, it opens up vulnerability, and that would be like camel pose, cobra pose, and some of the other ones that we'll do. And then we have the throat chakra activation for self-expression, and that's when we do the fish pose, lion's breath, and whatnot. So we do have some injuries in here with the neck injuries and whatnot, but just working with the throat and opening that up. And that could be just as simple as when I tell you, when we're sitting and we have our chin jutted forward, if you can bring the chin parallel, take your hollow, I'll say, take your throat back, take your ears back. What that can be doing is just opening up that energetic center of the throat. So just doing what you can do safely in your practice to start to move toward opening up. But what is doing is opening up energetic centers so that we can start to get this energy flow. It's a highway. It goes up and it should be able to come down. And so those are what we are aiming for in our yoga. So the breathing techniques, let's just go over that. So I'm going to just stay here with you right now, and you could practice if you'd like to, but I'd like to do the alternate nostril breathing again. So remembering the alternate nostril breathing. So we have in our, like when we talk about the spinal column, we have a right side and we have a left side energetically of our bodies. And on the right side is where anxiety and stress and energy can get, like if we have too much energy on the right side, it can cause us to feel anxious. And then on the left side, we have the lethargic, the depressive, and just can't get going side of energy. And ideally, what we'd like to do is take the right side and the left side, and we'd like to take all that energy and bring it into the center energetic channel where the energy is balanced, right? So when we work with that, if you take a moment and you just want to check your nostrils, this is big allergy season for us here in March, but just give it a chance and try. See, my left nostrils is a little bit closed. My right side is on. So ideally, I'd like to get both of those nostrils open. And so you have to sit up tall. So when you take a seat, again, we're working with the energetic centers from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. You want to be able to open up that where it can travel through the highway, right? So then the left hand, I just, place on my lap, and I use my thumb to any finger, and it doesn't matter, but I put the palm facing up on my lap. And then the right hand, I take the first two fingers and I fold those back. And then I have the ring finger, the pinky, and the thumb. And then the thumb is going to be used for my right nostril, the ring fingers for the left side of the nostril. And so we'll take turns opening and closing the nostrils. Instead of watching, I'd like for you to just be able to sit there, close your eyes, and work with this and just try to follow along and see how it feels. There's nothing to really see. As you press down through your seat, extending up through the crown, remember that take the throat back, ears back, and then push down. The crown of the head is lifting up. I have my mudras ready, and then I'll take a deep inhale through both nostrils. Closing the right nostril off, I exhale through the left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Open left nostril, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close left, open right, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close right, exhale left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close left, exhale right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close right, exhale left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close both, hold. Release your right hand down and keep your eyes closed and just breathe. Inhaling and exhaling, allowing the breath to come in normally. Exhale out normally. Just taking a moment to return back to your own normal, natural breathing. And before you open your eyes, taking the palms together, vigorously rubbing the palms together, which will generate heat. You'll gently cup that over your eyes and allow your eyes to flicker open at their own pace. And when you're ready to return, you can gently remove your hands and just sit for a moment and notice how you feel. Then taking a moment, we didn't do a lot of rounds of that, but that can be repeated many times. And then you would check. My left nostril is so much more open than it was before. My right nostril is open too. And that's a really good place for me to be, is more in balanced energy. And it takes some practice sometimes, and it takes multiple times. So that's one of the breathing techniques that I'd like for us to really hone in and to get under our belts. The other is the box breathing. And box breathing is excellent for calming stress. It gives the mind something to do. So again, if you'll stay with me on this, just sitting up nice and tall, get ready for our next breath. And then I'll have you exhale everything. Inhale through the nostrils, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Relax and breathe normally. Inhaling and exhaling. Notice how you feel. I have literally used that breath in Dallas traffic. It's taken my mind off of panic mode when I want to scream, and I just have to remind myself, inhale. And I may not do it exactly right, but at least it took me to my breath and it gave me a pause for a moment while I'm in traffic. And so I've found this useful, and I hope you do too. So we've had our, so then now I'm going to ask you, we're going to take a second, and I'd like for you to get your yoga practice stuff out and get onto your mats. And I know that we have, some injuries with us today, and that we might just be, just sitting there. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But you're welcome to turn your camera off during this practice, whatever works best for you. And then we'll come back afterward. So I'm going to go take my seat and change the camera angle here. And then when I take a seat, making sure that I sit up and elevate the hips. Today's practice, because I have tight hips, I definitely need to elevate my seat in much of this practice today. So be sure that you have all the props readily available, the blocks. And definitely, for me, I needed a strap for this practice today. So get what you need out. And then we are going to take some deep breathing here. So I'm sitting on a blanket. When I sit on the blanket, I'm sitting in a cross-legged position if that's available to me. And as I do that, I'm going to ask you to do a wider leg cross. Take a moment, I'm inner thighs back and apart. So I take my hand in the back, roll the flesh. I'm literally rolling the femur bone into the socket, and it'll help take some pressure off of my knees. As I press down through my seat, pushing down to extend up through the crown of the head and creating space in the spine. As you create space in your spine, just notice, take a moment to close your eyes and feel if there's any source of discomfort in your inner physical body. And if there is, again, chin parallel with the floor, take your throat back, ears back. If you could see yourself from the side, you would see your ears stacking your shoulders, shoulders stacking over your hips. As you continue to press down through your seat, extending up through the spine, notice your seat. Bring all awareness into your sits bones and notice the pressure on each side. Do they feel even? If not, take a moment to readjust and even out your seat. Having a steady, firm foundation, pushing down, extending up through the crown of the head. Allow the shoulders to relax away from our ears and just simply bring all awareness into breath. If it feels okay for you to close your eyes, allow yourself to close the eyes and just literally feel yourself breathing in and exhaling out and feeling internally the openness and the spaciousness inside. After your next exhale, inhale through the nostrils and just feel the belly rise, the belly rise, the belly rise, the belly rise. Hold it there. And then allow yourself to exhale through the nostrils, through the belly, softening, softening, navel toward the spine, but a soft belly as you empty all the breath out. The next inhalation through your nose, feel the belly rising. Feel the breath moving up into the front of your rib cage, into the sides of the rib cage. Feel the ribs expanding. Hold it there. And then as you exhale from the side ribs into the front ribs, into the belly, softening, navel's moving toward the spine, empty everything out. Next inhalation through your nose. Feel the belly rise. Feel the rib cage expand in the front. Feel the side ribs expand. And now in the back rib cage, feel the expansion, fullness. Hold it there. And as you exhale, back ribs, side ribs, front ribs. Exhaling, navel toward the spine, belly soft, and empty everything out. Next inhalation in, feel your belly rise. Feel the rib cage expanding in all directions, especially through the back ribs, expansion and fullness, and allow the breath to softly start to fill up into the collarbones. Hold it there. And as you exhale from your collarbones, the back ribs, side ribs, front ribs, into the belly, exhale and empty the entire breath out. Next inhalation, full breath, belly rising. Rib cage expanding in all directions. Allow that just to float up into the chest and feel the light and brightness of the chest full and expand it. Hold it. Exhale. Chest, ribs, belly, and allow yourself to feel the emptiness of that. Now the next inhale, full breath. Belly rising. Rib cage expanding in all directions, fullness into the chest, the heart, and bright. Feel the fullness of your breath. Take the nutrients, and as you exhale, chest, ribs, belly, empty it all out. Allow yourself to move to normal breathing, inhaling and exhaling, and just simply feel how you feel. Feel your seat firmly connected. Feel the crown of your head reaching up. Allow yourself to feel spaciousness inside, the spine creating its own length. As you feel the space and the breath coming in and out easily, we'll begin to start our practice formally, where we start with the sound of Om, and we have our opening invocation, and you'll have a moment to set an intention for what you need or would like from this practice today. So as we draw our hands into the heart center, bringing the palms together, my heart open, take a deep inhale to begin. Our opening invocation is the 4 simple words. Repeat after me silently. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. And that's asking that all beings everywhere are happy and free, and that our thoughts, words, and actions will contribute to their happiness in some way. So then taking a moment, bowing your head to your heart center, set your own intention for this practice today. Whatever you'd like to offer from the practice, to whatever it is. Today, I offer mine to wholeness and wellness for all. Releasing your hands onto your thighs, lifting your chin, and slowly opening the eyes. And then we'll slowly start to shift ourselves into a standing position. So I'll come on to my hands and my knees. When I come onto the hands and the knees, I set my blanket off to the side so it'll be out of the way. I'm turning to the side so you may get a view. Big toes are together, knees open apart. If it's available, I'll press my seat back toward my heels as I bow down into the center, taking child's pose. As I move into child's pose, this taps into that space between the foreheads. So if your forehead doesn't touch down, I bring a block in and I bring the floor up to it. So helping yourself with whatever it is that you need to fill this practice today. I'm going to get up from here so that I don't talk to the floor and you can hear me, but I invite you to allow the center of your forehead to rest on the floor, to feel yourself pressing your seat toward your heels, to feel the stretch that you may be getting in the front of the top of your legs, to maybe finding some openness in the spine, in your back. Whatever it is that brings for you, allow yourself to notice what that feels like, and just simply breathing in and exhaling it out. Extending your arms out in front of you, spreading your fingers so the hands are about shoulder distance apart. Spread the fingers in your hand and show up today for yourself and press your hands into the mat and feel the texture of the mat beneath your hands. If I have the block, I've set the block off to the side. And then I'll pull myself into the hands and knees. So when I bring myself into the hands and knees, I bring my knees hip bone distance apart, bring my hands underneath my shoulders. And so I like to curl my toes under so that I feel like I'm fully participating in the practice today. And just with using the breath, I'll allow myself to roll through the spine and just open everything up. So from the beginning, as I inhale, I'll start to tilt the tailbone up, lifting the head, chest, and seat goes up and broadening through the collarbone. As I begin my exhale, my head comes in, the pelvis comes in, push, round, and squeeze, and get all the stale air out. We want to empty every old thing out. And then inhaling through the nostrils, lifting your head, chest, seat up, arching the back, but fullness and broadness in the collarbones. And then exhale, head comes in, pelvis comes in, push around and squeeze. And see if you can feel that squeeze and that lift between the shoulder blades, like an angry cat here. One more time. Inhale, roll through the spine like a massage. Head, chest, seat up, arching through the back. And then exhaling, head comes in, pelvis comes in, push around and squeeze it all out. Inhaling the spine into a neutral position. Again, I bring my big toes together, knees open apart. When I bow down into the center and return to child's pose, it allows me some space between my legs for any of my body that needs to be able to make space for. As I reach the arms away from me, spreading my fingers, then I relax my forehead to the floor just a moment. I recenter, refocus, and then pull yourself up back to hands and knees, but keep your hands where they are, keep your feet where they are. Curl your toes under if it's available, moving into down dog position. So then I'll lift my knees up off the floor. I'll lift my bottom up. I'll begin to straighten my legs. As I'm doing that, I'm pushing the chest toward the thighs, push it way, way back. I want to use my legs. That's one of the strongest parts of my body. So I want the leg muscles to pull me back, to tilt the tailbone up, pull my low ribs in, ears lining up with the arms, and just simply breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. And maybe a lot for newbies, and that's okay. You go back to your knees and rest in child's pose. But slowly, I'm going to start to walk my hands back toward my feet. And then as I walk the hands back toward my feet, I'm coming into a standing forward fold. So if you have issues with balance, open your feet up a little bit wider. So I'm going to just do that for today. As I walk my hands back in toward my feet, I'll allow myself to hold on to opposite elbows, hanging my head down, and just let the blood supply flow to the brain. I push through my feet, and a lot of times I'll be leaning back, right?
You see me, if I lean a little bit forward and bring my hips over the ankles, there's a lot more support in there, but I feel it a lot more in my muscles. So shake your head yes and no. I might even be able to straighten my legs by pushing my feet into the floor and using my bones to stand on, lined up, and breathe. Releasing your hands down to the floor. I'm going to slowly come out of this. So I make sure my feet are really firmly pressing into the floor. Slide my right hand up my kneecap, slide my left hand up my kneecap, and then keeping the bend in my knees, straighten my arms, and here I am, partially coming up. Then I want to really feel my feet, and by digging my feet down into the earth, like rooting it down like a tree, push down, start to squeeze the muscles in the legs, sliding my hands up, and then coming all the way up to the top so that I come into a standing position. I might get dizzy. If I make a fist, I squeeze the muscles in my legs, and I let the blood flow equilibrate. So then as we come into our standing pose, we want to take a moment. And last week we worked on Tadasana. We used the block in the inner upper thighs, working with mountain pose. So anything that you remember from that, let's bring that back in. So on the feet, rocking forward, backward, side to side. As I press down through my feet, I'm going to bring my feet close together with the outer edges of my feet parallel with one another. Pushing down, extending up through the crown of the head. So I'm not seated this time, I'm standing, but I want to create that space in my spine with all the natural curves there. Just press down, extending up through the crown of the head. Just push your feet down and sweep the arms out like you're really just scraping up toward the sky, fingertips to the rainbow, and then exhale out and down. And just take a breath. That's it. Just simply breathing. By pushing strongly through the feet, squeezing the muscles of the legs, feel yourself getting more of a side stretch as you inhale and reach up all the way through the fingertips, and then slowly exhaling it out and down. Again, inhale, sweep it up. As I sweep it up, I have to kind of get down. You stay standing, interlacing the hands, turning the palms of the hands up toward the ceiling, squeezing the arms by the ears, but sliding the shoulders away from the ears. Take a deep inhale, standing. You haven't changed anything. Reach palms up, shoulders away from the ears, and lean over to your right side. So over to the right side, breathing. Take your chins out of the chest. That's it. Throat back, ears back. And imagine that you're pushing your palms to the wall on the right side. Push heavy through your left foot. Tailbone reaching down. Low belly draws in and lifts up. You can look forward. You can look down. But keep taking left shoulder back. And inhale back up to the center. Exhale, releasing the arms. Let them dangle free and shake it out. Beautiful. So we got a stretch on one side, a compression on the other. Let's do it again. Inhale, arms up, interlacing the hands. Palms turn up toward the sky. Arms in line with the ears, shoulders away from your ears, strong legs, tone belly. Inhale, and as you exhale, over to your left side. So I have to push out as I follow the joint of my index finger to try to touch the wall on the left side. A lot of times I want to have my chin in the chest. I take your chin out of the chest. That's it. Breathing into this. Super tight on this side for some reason. I can look forward. I can look down. I can turn my eyes up. But right shoulder is constantly moving back, trying to straighten my arms. Breathing into that. Push heavy in my right foot. As I push heavy in my right foot, I can really press the left wall. And inhale it up to the center. Exhale and releasing it all out and down. And just shake it out. Beautiful. Staying in your standing pose. Take a moment, feel your feet, and really get yourself a steady foundation. Then clasping the hands behind the back. So I'm clasping the hands behind the back. As I interlace my hands, I bring the palms together. Palms together. This one, for balance sake, I'm going to open up my feet just a little bit wider. Take a deep inhale here. As you inhale here, reaching my straight arms away, elbows in close to one another, I reach my knuckles away and lift them up and back. I get a good shoulder stretch here. Staying here, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, hinging from your hips, folding forward. Notice that the hips want to shift back, but I want to keep them forward. I can even bend the knees. Allow the hands to come up and over and hang out behind you. Pushing strongly through your feet. Feel your knees lift, thighs engage. The stronger the legs, the more the upper body can release. Take a moment here, shake your head yes, shake your head no, flub your lips a little bit. Let all the muscles of your face soften and relax. And then very, very slowly releasing your arms, let them dangle free. Kind of shake it out. Then very slowly, however you can come up to standing, I'll do inhale, half lift. But remember the hand slide that we came out with? You can do that. And half lift. Exhale, hands to the hips. Hug your inner elbows in, pushing down through your feet, strong legs, inhaling and coming all the way up to the top. And then you're back to your mountain pose. And breathe here and shake it out. We're going to go into a little bit of a lunging. So again, if you have injuries, take care of yourself, watch the video later and try on your own. Up to you what you need to do now. So from the top of the mat, inhale, arms up. As you exhale, hinge and folding forward, forward fold. From forward fold, stepping the right foot back into a lunge. So as I step the right foot back into a lunge, I can have the blocks here for my hands to be on, but I don't want to just dump my body. I want to press my hands into the block as I get grounded through my hands. Really, right thigh is lifting up and away. The right inner thigh is rolling up toward the ceiling. Left knee is over the heel or ankle. Make sure that you have joint over joint and breathing here. Inhale. As you exhale, without bringing your back knee forward, set it down. So I'm trying to put my right knee down and go back toward my foot instead of coming forward. Then I'm on my right kneecap and then I'll slide a little bit forward, bringing my left knee a little bit in front of my toes. And that is getting a deep stretch in the right front hip. And remember the hip flexors, there's a fight or flight muscle group, gets locked on. It may be excruciatingly tight, but whatever it is, just allow yourself to just go only as far as you can continue to breathe, inhaling and exhaling. As you inhale and you exhale, see if you can take both hands up to your left knee. See if that's available. Then I interlace my hands onto my left knee, and then I'll see about bringing my arms straighter. But as I do that, I have to engage tailbone down, low belly has to tone up, draw in and lift up and breathe here. And I get a really deep stretch. If it's available, now I use my right arm and inhale the right arm up and feel the stretch that brings. Tighten and work your legs, squeezing the muscle to the bone. The outer hips are squeezing. Maybe the left arm can come up too. Breathe. Shoulders away from the ears. Elbows go out to the side. So I'm turning. Elbows out to the side. And as the elbows are out to the side, we call this cactus arm. Imagine that your palms are touching a wall. And I'm going to push my hands against that imaginary wall. And when I do that, I get resistance. With that resistance, I'll take my shoulder blades closer to one another, tuck them into the back pocket, and then I'm going to take the tips of my shoulder blades and let that lift my chest and heart. As my chest and heart feel open, take your throat back, ears back. If you have neck injuries, this is as far as you go. If you'd like to go in further, you can gaze up and breathe. Inhale, exhale, hands down. Ooh, that was a lot, right? Then with my blocks on the side or your hands to the floor, gently bring your left knee back. Good. Big toes together, knees apart. Child's pose, drop in. Tap into your inner knowing and allow yourself to simply breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. Pressing your palms into the floor. Pull yourself to hands and knees. Keep your hands where they are, feet where they are. Breathing here. Down dog. Remember, it's not yoga without your breath. Being aware, feel what you feel. If it's available, step your right foot up between your hands, knee over your heel or ankle. So remember the last one? I started with my left leg. I'm just changing views for you. Now I have my right knee over the heel or ankle, and I have my left leg back behind me in a high lunge. In the high lunge, I'm going to broaden my chest and start to integrate all my muscles. So my left thigh is lifting up, my left inner thigh is rolling up, tailbones anchoring down, chest broad, shoulders away from the ears, and breathe here. Inhaling and exhaling. Now, I like to put my left knee to the floor for the low lunge, but instead of bringing my knee forward, I need to keep moving my knee back and away. When I move the knee back and away, I can start to bring my right knee in front of my right toes or in that direction. And that takes me right off that bone of my kneecap, and it goes on to the fleshy part above the knee, and it's not quite painful for me. And then clasping your hands, placing your palms onto your right knee, really engage your legs, hug and squeeze the skin to the muscle, muscle hugging onto the bone. As you press the palms against the knee, start to straighten out your arms. But if you feel it in the low back, for sure, take the tailbone down, tone your low belly, shoulders away from the ears, breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. And just notice in your body, where are you feeling the stretch? Then I'll take my left arm up alongside of the ear, really showing up for myself. The hand is active, the legs are active, breath easy. As legs are steady and sturdy, I'll allow both hands to come up. As I have both hands up and I'm reaching up, shoulders away from the ears, I'll take my throat back, ears back. Then shoulder blades moving closer together, tips of the shoulder blades into the heart. Maybe I'll look up. Then cactus arms here. I'm turning for you. Cactus arms. Imaginary wall. Push. Shoulder blades together. Tuck them into the back pocket. Throw back. Ears back. As you go down lower in your hips, let the heart lift up, broaden, and open. It's a big one. I know. Breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Hands down. Left leg comes back to your hands and knees, big toes together, knees apart, and a child's pose. And breathe. I'm up, you're down, child's pose, relaxing your forehead, and just simply breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. Reaching the arms far away from you, forehead down. To hands and knees. Bring your knees in, curl the toes under, back into a down dog. Slowly walking your feet up towards your hands. Standing forward fold. Hold on to opposite elbows. Shake your head yes. Shake your head no. And just breathe. Releasing the arms down. Shake them out. You have the choice, inhaling half lift where there's extension in your spine, or you can be sliding the hands up the legs, your choice. Inhaling half lift, exhale hands to hips, hug inner elbows in. Be strong in your legs, push your feet down, coming all the way up, standing to the top, and squeeze the muscles to the bone, and just simply breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. Sit with your feet, step your feet out wide for a standing forward fold. So the feet are out wide, the outer edges of the feet are parallel with one another. Arms extend out, clasping the hands behind the back. Bring your elbows in close to one another. Take a deep inhale, lifting through the heart. As you exhale, hinge and fold forward. Lifting the knuckles up to the sky, releasing the top of your head down, but strong in your legs. So if my hips are way back, I'm just dumping. If I bring my hips a little bit more forward, I'm using joint over joint action. Then releasing the hands down to the floor. Placing my right palm directly underneath my face. Push my right arm straight, Legs are straight, lengthen the spine, releasing my left palm face in and keeping my hips steady and stable, sweeping the left arm up into a bit of a twist. Send your tail back, heart forward. If you can gaze up toward your left fingertips, but remind yourself, pick your right hip up and pull it back as your chest expands forward. Breathing here, inhale. As you exhale, left hand comes down. Now it goes underneath your face instead of the right hand. Straight arm, shoulder over your wrist. Right palm face in, sweep it up. And I notice my left hip likes to dump down. I have to tell my left hip, lift up, extend back, extension through the spine, and breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. By pushing everything I can down into the ground, I feel myself opening and extending in space. Take another deep inhale. And as you exhale, bringing the right hand down. Hands underneath your shoulders. Take a deep inhale, extension in your spine. As you exhale, walking, if it's available, fingertips in line with your toes. Then straighten your arms, extend the spine, stick your bottom out. As you exhale, allow the top of your head to move down toward the floor, shoulders away from the ears, and just simply breathing here. Inhaling and exhaling. Just notice the stretch that you're getting, the steadiness and stableness of your feet. Take another deep inhale, lift and extend. Exhale, walking the hands back out. I'm going to heel toe my feet in a bit closer to each other. I'm going to face towards you. I've heel toed my feet in. They're a little bit closer. Toes slightly angled out so that when I start to squat down, my knees will be in line with my toes. I allow myself to move in toward a squat. See if my body's going to go with me today. And then as I get into the squat, this is a very nice low back release. Elbows on the inside, palms together, forearms parallel with the floor, shoulders over the hips. Allow the pelvis to descend and the heart to lift. And just simply breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, and as you exhale, the right hand goes out, fingertips onto the floor. See if you could stay in the squat, even hips, and allow the left arm to come up, pushing the back of my right arm against the right shin, heart open, breathe, then exhale, bring your left arm back in, palms together. Inhale, and as you exhale, left hand goes down, you cut fingers to the floor, right arm sweeps up, expansion in your spine, chest open, hips level. Inhale, exhale back in. This is excellent for low back pain. And then with your hands, allow yourself to work toward the floor. So I could have been sitting on a block the whole time in that squat. That's a great modification for this. Now take a moment and extend your legs out. Pull the flesh back or sit up on I'm going to sit up on a blanket my hips are really, really tight today. Still a good person, but my hips are tight. You'll need a strap. And with the strap, I always, if you're using a buckle strap, grab the metal part so that's just not flinging around. And then a seated forward fold. So reaching for your toes, but don't force yourself to grab your toes. Don't struggle like that. Remember, we want to make space inside. So we want the pelvic tilt, hinging at the hips. I can slide my hands down and just see how far I can go with the open spine. Remember, we're working with our energy and opening that up. If I want to grab onto the feet, I might make my arms longer. And that's what the strap is being used for. Inhale to lift and extend the spine, broadening the chest. As you exhale, allow yourself to fold forward wherever that may be. Bowing your head, just let your head relax. The frontal lobe of your brain soften. And just simply inhale and exhale. Notice where you're feeling the stretching. And try to move the breath into any area of your body that is feeling sensation. Gently inhaling, lifting your head and chest. Exhaling, coming back up nice and easy. Moving into a cow face pose. So this one is a little bit more difficult. I'm going to use 2 blankets today for myself. So I'm going to take my 2 blankets. My hips are very tight today. From the top of the mat in front of the blanket, bring my right knee in front of the left, and then opening out the feet to opposite sides. You see me? Okay. So then I am aiming for the place between my calves and in between my legs, and I want to send my bottom back and sit down. Then I want to scooch whatever that prop is, get it in there so that when I sit down, I'm sitting nice and even. As I sit down, knee stacking over knee, feet to opposite sides, bottom down, I know that my right bottom doesn't want to press down as much. So I have to remind right hip stay down. My feet, your heels are equal distance away from the hips. So if one's closer, and the other one can't get out there, then you bring it in. Sitting nice and tall, pressing down through your feet. The strap again. The left hand grabs onto the buckle, inhaling left arm up alongside of your ear, dropping the left hand in between your shoulder blades, taking your right arm out, go up to your left elbow, help the hand slide down the shoulder blades, right arm extends out with the palm down, then turn your thumb down, then bending at the elbow. I'm going to get up, you stay there. You would grab on, pulling the strap apart, shoulders away from your ears, pull your low ribs back, and breathe here. This is called cow face pose or Gomukhasana. It's a hip stretch, hip opener. Very grounded, extending up, shoulders away, chin parallel, throat back, ears back, chest opener. Just where do you feel in your body that there might be some stretching, and put the breath into that space. When you exhale, imagine letting go of any unnecessary tension or stress. Then start with releasing the right arm first, then the left arm. Set your strap down and breathe here. Inhaling and exhaling. This is a great hip opener. Left hand to your right leg. Right hand goes back behind you. Pressing down through your seat, extend through the spine. Inhale. As you exhale, gently gazing over your right shoulder. Keep the left butt cheek down. Keep your left sit bone down. Bring your chin as close to your right shoulder as possible. And count backwards. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, look forward. And exhale, release. Quick counter pose. Right hand inside, left hand behind you. Exhale, look over your left shoulder. Inhale, look forward. And exhale, I'm going to use my hands back behind me. Extend the legs out. Now I have to change. Right heel comes in toward the left hip. Left leg goes over the right. Then I start to shift my weight forward. This side is super tight. Still a good person, but my hips are tight. So the left knee goes over the right knee, the feet out to the sides, and then I've got to work on my bum. So my left sit bone is trying to lift and help me out, but I need it to press down. So I reestablish my seat, feet on opposite sides. Then instead of leaning back, bring the shoulders over your hips and breathe. Just check it out. Say, what is different on this side compared to the other? I can find a lot. And then in my right hand, buckle, hold on to that. With that, with the palm facing in, holding the buckle, inhale, right arm up alongside of your ear. Right hand goes in between the shoulder blades. Left hand's going to help the right elbow, and I'm going to bring the elbow in toward behind my head so the hand goes further down the shoulder blades. Keep that. I use the back of my head to press the inner arm. Left arm extends out, palm down, turn thumb down, then bend at the elbow. You can reach in there, and I'm going to grab my strap or grab my hands. And the action is to pull those two apart so you can slide your shoulder blades down the back, pull your low ribs back, press down through your seat, extend up through the spine, and just simply breathe here, inhaling and exhaling. Noticing what is different, breathing into that, inhaling and exhale. So you continue to feel yourself really pressing down through the left sit bone, extending up through the spine. Notice if your low ribs push forward, pull them back. That's it. Creating true space in the body, inhaling and exhaling, sending the breath anywhere it needs to be. Inhale, and as you exhale, releasing the left hand down first. Right arm goes down. Release the strap. Right hand goes to the left leg. Left hand goes behind you. Push down through your seat. Inhale to create the length. As you exhale, start to twist to the left. Exhaling, twist, twist, twist. In your mind, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. Left hand inside, right hand to the outside. Inhale, counter twist. Look over your right shoulder. Inhale, look forward. And then exhale, release. Then come out of this. You either lean back and let the slingshots go, or you go forward, hands and knees, but then we come onto our bottoms. Once you get to the bottom, this is going to be quickie. Don't get mad at me. Feet or hip bones distance apart. Push my sit bones down. Arms extend out. You can hold on to your legs, or if you want to test it, I'm just going to put some fire in the gut here and kind of start to come down, and then bring yourself up. So again, slowly coming down. Feel each vertebra touching down. Allow yourself to round navel toward the spine like the angry cat as you begin to come down. Stop right there and bring yourself up. We're almost done. Very, very slowly going down toward the floor. We're really going to go down this time. Really going to go down. We just wanted to start a little fire. Little fire. As you go down, notice any areas that feel like they might be fused. And you go, noted. Then bring your knees up into your chest. And this is really when you want to kiss your knees. You go, kiss you. And then feet to the floor. Cross right knee over the left knee. So I'm crossing high up into the thighs. Return the view so that you can see. Right arm extends out. Shoulder height or higher with the palm facing up. That allows me to really hug my shoulder blade in. Left hand to the right leg. Take a deep inhale, another twist. Exhaling, allow the right knee to go toward the left side. It may or may not make it, and don't force it. Keep your right shoulder blade down. Taking a deep inhale, gaze towards your right fingertips, and just simply breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. You can note now that the hard work of the practice is done. All the hardest parts are done. So allow yourself to start to settle in and just breathing into this twist. Notice where you might feel a little tension. Just allow the breath to go in. Any kind of stretching, breathe into that space. Give it a healthy breath. And when you exhale, let go of tension that it's holding on to you don't need. Protecting your low back, draw your navel into the spine. Inhale, bring the knees and head back to the center. Uncross your legs, readjust your spine to neutral. And we're going to cross the left knee over the right, crossing high up in the thighs. As the left leg crosses over the right leg, extend your left arm out with the palm up. Really glue your left shoulder down. Right hand goes to the left leg. Take a deep inhale. Only on exhale, take your twist. Just begin exhaling, taking the left knee over toward the right side. When you run out of the breath, stop, take another deep inhale, and then when you're exhaling, consider going a little deeper into your twist. Noticing how far one side went, compared to the other. But keep the integrity of the pose. The shoulder blade is down. Gaze towards your left fingertips and breathe here. Inhaling and exhaling. As you allow yourself to melt into this twist, using your breath, notice that when you breathe in and exhale out, that you might find a little more space. And let yourself take that little bit more space, but don't force any of this. The practice is never to be forced. And just breathe. Protecting your low back, draw your navel to the spine. Gently inhale, bring the knees and head back to the center. Uncross your legs, readjust your spine to neutral. Then drawing both knees up into your chest, happy baby pose. So let my entire back stay on the floor. Bring my right foot up with the knee bent. Right hand goes to the outer blade of the right foot. I want the feet flat toward the ceilings. Left knee comes in. Reach up, grab onto the outer blade of the left foot. Keep your tailbone down, shoulders down. And then see if you can just press straight down. As I press straight down, the ball of the joint of my big toes are reaching for the ceiling. This is an excellent hip opener. And just think to yourself, your intention is to let go of tightness and tension we're holding in our body. Just allow the hips to soften and relax. Feel the pressure of the toes on the front of your hips, the muscle group there. And just tell that muscle that it's okay to let go now. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, and as you exhale, releasing the outer edges of your feet, bringing your knees together. One more deep, reach it in, squeeze yourself into the tightest ball, squeeze it tight, get the throat squeeze, get everything squeezing, take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, releasing your legs out, arms out, turn your palms up, settle back now and relax. Moving into our guided meditation followed by Shavasana. So this is your relaxation portion of the practice. It is probably one of the most important parts of the practice. So allow yourself to settle back and just be still. So find your place and become still. As you find your place and you feel comfortable and supported, begin to let go. Let yourself melt into the floor, into a mat, wherever that may be. Whether you were injured or not, you can always do this part of the practice. So let yourself lay back and breathing in, exhaling it out. Take another deep breath in and slowly exhale it out. One more. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, allow your body to soften into the earth beneath you. Feel the support of the ground holding you with steadiness and care. With each breath, give yourself permission to surrender a little more, to let go of any tension, any resistance. There is nothing to do. There's nowhere to be. Just in this moment. As you breathe in, imagine drawing in light and clarity. As you breathe out, release old stories, limiting beliefs, and self-judgment. With each inhale, invite compassion. With each exhale, let go of the fear and resistance. Now gently bring your awareness inward, deep into the space of your own heart. Imagine a warm, glowing light at the center of your chest. A light that represents your true essence. Within this light, you are safe, you are whole, and you are loved. Now visualize a door in front of you. And this door leads to hidden parts of yourself, the aspects of you that have been tucked away, longing to be seen and understood. When you're ready, take a deep breath and step through the door. As you enter, you may see a younger version of yourself, or perhaps an image, a symbol, or even a feeling. This is your shadow self. It's not something to fear, but a part of you that is ready to be acknowledged with love. Take a moment to observe. What do you see? What emotions arise?
If this part of you could speak, what would it say? Now imagine wrapping this part of yourself in a warm embrace. Tell them, I see you, I accept you, and I welcome you back home. Feel a sense of integration, all parts of you coming together, harmonizing, becoming whole. Now visualize the light, warm, the warmth and the light from your heart expanding, covering every part of your being, shining into the corners of your mind, illuminating the shadows with love, understanding, and peace. Breathe in acceptance. Breathe out self-judgment. Breathe in wholeness. Breathe out separation. Continue to breathe in and exhale out while you rest in Shavasana. Slowly begin to bring awareness back to your body, feeling the ground beneath you, the air around you. As you continue to bring conscious breath back into your body, begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes, and inviting gentle movement back into your body. It feels good. You may want to stretch your arms up over your head, taking a deep body stretch. Take some time to stretch your right side a little more than the left side a little more than the right. And feel yourself taking an entire body yawn, stretching both arms evenly, both legs evenly. Taking a deep inhale. And as you exhale, bending your knees, the soles of your feet onto the floor. Allow yourself to gently curl over to your right side and just curl up in a little ball. You can use your right arm like a pillow for your head. And allow yourself to continue to lay there for a moment. It's integrating whatever the practice had for you today, whatever the discussion had for you today, taking what you want and leaving the rest behind. When you're ready, very slowly turning toward the floor, Use your left hand and right arm. Begin to press yourself up into a seated position. And very slowly allowing yourself to take your seat, feeling yourself firmly anchored into the earth beneath you, extending up through the crown of the head, and just bringing all awareness back into internal space as you breathe in and you exhale out. We'll conclude our physical practice with the sound of Om. We'll draw our hands into the heart center, and as we press the palms against one another, let your heart open and just be bright. After your next exhale, inhale to begin. Bowing your head to your heart center, and just a moment of gratitude. Gratitude to yourself for showing up, for taking time out of your busy schedule. Acknowledge that beautiful light that shines within your own heart. We look for light in all beings, and today we see each other's light, and we bow to each other's light with much respect. Namaste. So I'll allow you to return back from your practice and grab your journals, because we're still in the recorded session part of this, but I'm going to give you a couple of journal prompts, and then we'll stop the recording and we'll have questions, answers, or anything that you'd like to take with you. So as you grab your journals and the practice is still fresh within you, these are questions for yourself to contemplate in your own time and just to begin the thought process about all of this. First question would be, what aspects of myself do I reject or hide from others? The second question, I'm just going to give you the questions and then you can go back. When I feel triggered, what emotions arise? What emotions arise and where in my physical body do I feel those rising? The next one, how does my shadow impact my relationship and decision making? My relationships and decision making. And the last question on this, how can I bring more awareness and compassion to these hidden parts of myself? I'm going to conclude the recording of this workshop. So thank you so much for attending. See you next